Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. During this session I would like to introduce a new application that we have developed called MDS. So let me just go through and show you what MDS is and what it can do. The first thing we want to cover is basically the main questions. What is it? Why we use it? Who needs it? And when to use it? So, what's MDS? MDS stands for Mobile Deployment System. It's a project profiling tool. It's a configuration utility. It allows you to enter all the device settings and store them on the PC. The components of MDS are fairly straightforward. On the PC we have our MDS application and of course Active Sync or Mobile Device Center. On the terminals themselves you have a device agent and they're connected via USB. So why do we use MDS? Well, first of all, it's efficient. You can deploy the same configuration to multiple terminals. It's easy to use because the deployment only takes one click. So once you've set up your configuration, one click will then load that into devices. You also back up the configuration so that you don't forget what settings you've got for a particular project. It's convenient. If you have an application where things have changed, it's very easy to read the project in, modify a couple of settings and then save it as a new project. It's flexible in that if you have a configuration for a specific model device like a CB55 and now you've changed, you want to go to a different OS, like instead of embedded handheld to CE, it's very simple. You can change the project and then save it again. So who needs MDS? Well, if you are an SI, you're developing applications for your customers and trying to keep all of these straight, it will create different projects for different customers. If you're an end user, then you may have different applications within your organization. This allows you to then keep those settings as separate projects for the different applications. When do you use it? If you have new projects, for example, you want to set up a device for an end user, you can just start a new project and do all the settings. On the other hand, if we're maintaining projects, so for example somebody already has devices but they want to buy another 10 devices, it's very simple. Read the configuration and set up the additional devices. If you have devices that are being outdated, so you're replacing it with new ones, you can read the projects, change some of the settings and then redeploy again. Or if very simple, so you've changed your SSID for your access point, you can make simple changes like that, or allowed a new type of barcode in your environment, you can then enable it or disable something. So now with the environment that you need, basically you need a computer that's installed with MDS. For XP we use Active Sync, for Windows 7 or 8 we use Mobile Device Center, as you know. We also in the installation install an OMAP driver for the CB55 operating system. It's a TI tool. In the mobile device you'll have an MDS agent installed. So all the devices we're shipping will have these preloaded, and it's roughly MDS client with a version number. So depending on what terminal and what version, these things will be different. So let's now take a quick look at what MDS can do in action. So let's just start it and see how we go. Mobile Deployment System basically allows you to configure a device on your PC, get all the settings into it, and then be able to deploy the same settings to multiple devices. So In order for us to start, let's have a look at what we can do here. We can basically start a new project. Let's call it Cipher Warehouse. Pick the model, so all our Windows CE and mobile are available, so we'll just pick the first one. Both operating systems, embedded, handheld and CE. Reader module, 1D and 2D, including the SM1, 955 and a 2D module. So let's just say that this is a 1D 955, keyboard is numeric, we don't have an RFID, and I don't want to encrypt the file. It's not really that special right now. So it will create a project for me. Once that is created, I can then go through and configure different options. So if we look at the configure button, basically we can configure many different things. Auto installation, which basically you can install any cap file that you want to, might be your application or customer's application that you've written for them. Auto run allows you to basically run any file or any applications once they have been deployed. So once the unit restarts, you can go through. COM port mapping allows you to map the different COM ports in the device. Barcode reader, some of the choices are transmit code ID, and if we transmit the code ID, do you want to transmit it on all the symbologies or you want to customize it? Within barcode reader you have different things. Scanner preferences, for example. Notification, do you want LED, vibration or beep? How do you want to output the data? Keyboard, do you want the data with an enter character, and what is the enter character? Do you want to display the code type or the length, prefixes, suffixes? So if I want a prefix, I can actually pick any prefix I want. So we just move that one in. There's my prefix right there. Save it. Let's say we put and ETX and a DC4. Save it. It's right there. And we want to delimit with a semicolon, full stop, or no delimiter between each field. Let's leave it as a comma for now. 1D symbologies. Basically you have all the symbologies right there. Anything that is ticked is active, not ticked, not supported. So if we don't tick that, we don't want coder bar to be decoded. You can have minimum, maximum length, and you can input the lengths as you wish. So once you've got that, and that all of that is done, next one's button assignment. I think you've all used our button assignment in the terminal. Select the button that you want. There's the default setting. You can make it do any different things, like I want to customize this one, the answer call, to be an OK button. Or you can actually put in a specific hex value, or you can make a launch an application, what the application is, or you can broadcast an event. So at this point I just leave it as a custom. Wireless manager allows you to switch on and off. Wi-Fi settings is basically you can do things like put in your SSID and IP addresses, but again, keep in mind this is going to be deployed to multiple devices, so don't put the IP addresses for everybody being the same. Cellular data, most of these are basically will be populated from the terminal, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And then the telnet, basically do you want a VT or TN emulation, do you want to auto connect, auto login, username, password. So once you've set up all of these, you save the entries, and now this project has certain entries that we've just set up. I said I would show you how to read from the device. Once a device is connected, you can actually synchronize the device settings back into your project. So if I basically say, give me your device, give me the device settings, I have a CP55 connected. it queries the device and loads all the information from the device back to the project. So now everything's ready. If we go to barcode reader, which we had modified for the Symbology, if we look at coder bar, you can see that's still set the same way it was. And if we look at data output, my prefix and suffix are gone because that's not what was on the device in the first place. So reading from the device all the settings. Once you've done that, you can basically either save the configuration or close it. We'll just save it. So on this front menu page, the things that we can do is create new projects, open existing project, save or save as the project. If we want to have a look at what project we're working on, this is what we're working on. Brief description of the project itself. We can also, all our projects are saved in one area, so we can here, we will have a list of all our projects and we can select which project we want to run. You can also save a project to an SD card. The green button here is telling us that there is a device connected and we can deploy the settings. So to deploy the settings, you basically can tick all device configuration that you want to deploy, or if I just want to deploy one thing like the change in barcode reader, then I would just tick that. Before we deploy, let's look at something else. Time synchronization. You want to make sure that all the devices are synchronized at the same time, so you can synchronize all the devices with your computer time, which is the easiest way to do it. So once I do that, so what I'm going to deploy now is new settings for the barcode reader and the time synchronization. Once I've done that, I can click on deploy. Before I do that, I'll show you what happens on the device. I'm going to run SOTI Mobi control, pocket controller. It basically just puts it on the screen as to what's happening on the device. It's much easier than having to get a camera. So now, if I look at, this is the screen on my device. If I do a deploy, this is what you're going to see here. You will see that on the device itself, something's happening. We are copying all the information across to the device. Now that's done. The system's updating and deployment successful. Now all you need to do is put in the next unit, and then the next and the next and the next, and that's how easy it is to deploy any system. So very straightforward, very easy to use. A couple of different options that I want to show you is preferences. Not everybody speaks English or works in English, so we've allowed you to put in your own language. So what happens here basically is you can go through, edit into your language all of the prompts that exist in MDS. And you can change these to whatever language you want. Once you've changed it, select the language you want to save it at, and then click Save. So that when you come down here and you do a drop down, you will have the language that you have just created. And you can select that, and then that will be your default language. Project location is Cipherlab MDS. You can change that if you want. We have a log file for each project, and show dialog at startup basically allows you to say, I've already got a project, do you want to keep going from here? Any messages that come up will pop up down here on this bar, and you basically have a chance to actually control the timing of those messages. So now that we've changed that, we apply it. I'm not going to. Well, we're going to apply it. So that's what you have under preferences. One other thing for security is that sometimes you want to set something up and you don't want the users to change anything, or only administrators be able to access. So once you include a password, you can then select what things can be done that are password protected. So if I've selected a password, you need a password to open a new project, or open an existing project, or deploy, or update an OS image. All of these are, you either tick them or leave them blank. The ones that are ticked, the password will apply to. It's very secure and very straightforward. One other thing is there's a little arrow down here. If you press on the arrow, you will see the help content, and this is very important. The help content, as you can see from here, actually includes everything that you can do with MDS. It's very thorough, it's very specific, and covers all the things that you would want to do and how to do them within MDS. So how to create a project, how to delete a project, how do I update an OS image, when we add files for file transfer, how do you do that, barcode reader settings. Everything that I've showed you is in this Wi-Fi settings. So please go through this. Is very, very important because it has a lot of information that will help you along on how to configure your devices. Just before I go, I'd like to take a couple of minutes and just go through a real installation or a real deployment, if you wish. I've created a configuration called New, where I've actually added a few things. In a file transfer, I'm going to transfer two files. One is basically an application, and the other one is just a document, just to show you how that works. Also, what I've done with the Wi-Fi setting, I've set up a Wi-Fi setting for here so we can actually connect. Now, right now you can see it's not actually connected, no Wi-Fi connection there. So once I've got the Wi-Fi connection, I've got transfer of files. I also want them to install when the system restarts. I want it to install and run AppLock and Mirror Browser. So I've selected the files and I've put them here under auto run. So as soon as the unit restarts, it will run these. So let's just have a quick look at how that will work. So this is all set up. My device is connected and I want to deploy all device configurations. So I ticked all the configuration and then I go to deploy. It'll ask you to save it. I'll save it. So now it prepares all of that information, generates all the necessary files that have to be deployed to the device, and as you can see here, it starts to update. Now don't forget, with this one we actually have an auto installation, so it has to install the applications that we've got, which were AppLock and Mirror Browser. So it's got to install those two as well as transfer files across. So this will take a little bit of time to actually get everything to the device and get the device to actually install it. Now it's restarted. It says deployment successful. So let's have a quick look. If I look through here, you can see now the Wi-Fi is now on because we've already told it what SSID, what password and everything else. And if I look at through here, if I go through to Windows Explorer under user data, this is the file that I just transferred. So let's have a look at it. It's a Word document. I've got Word installed in here. So let's see. Yep, that's the actual file. And that's how simple it is to deploy. So you can deploy configurations, as you can see, Wi-Fi, barcode readers, settings, or just text files or databases, whatever you want to do. As far as the applications are concerned, if I look through for the programs in my program files, you can see now I've got AppLock already there, and I got Browser. So these are the applications that we deployed. Sorry, Mirror Browser, this one. So these are the applications we deployed. They're already on there. They're ready to run. So with that in mind, I really hope that MDS is something that you will utilize. You'll find it useful. And again, we're open for your suggestions. If you have any suggestions for any applications we write, please let us know. And if you have problems or troubleshooting, first look at your help. And if still you cannot answer those questions, then please contact our support department. If you find this video helpful, please let us know. Drop us a line and just say that it was helpful, or if you want more of the same covering different topics. And thank you for joining me today.